Well, it appears that we are at war. I've heard these comments and stuff. I really don't watch the news. I only pursue it when something, only pursue information when something interests me. I didn't even know that yesterday 1,000 students I think their enrollment is 40,000 at the University of Texas, Austin. 1,000 students, highly illiterate students, uh, went out in support of the Palestinian terrorists. We have a huge Jewish community here because Texas was founded primarily by Anglo Jews. But oh gosh, today I had a lot of social interaction. People kept trying to give me food and stuff, and actually one guy who's a gambling addict, I've seen him at like just before draw time. He'll go in and he'll submit his numbers and he'll buy scratch offs. So he'll hit and I've seen him win and lose back like $500 in a shot. He's a local rich guy, doesn't really, I guess daddy takes care of him. And he tried to actually give me 2 packs of cigarettes. One of them had been opened. John Player, made in Pakistan, but obviously was packaged for Canada because it had the required death scenes on the packaging. I believe that's what Canada requires. And the Benson and Hedges, that's packaging isn't. And they both didn't have tax stamps. I mean, a cigarette is, especially one pack was open, the other was, but that's one of the easiest ways to get a poison to somebody. And you actually can even just increase the nicotine you extract from other cigarettes and inject it right in the middle of one cigarette. It'd be kind of hard to keep the paper from staining, but anyway, it's more than possible. And 1,000 idiots. The brief film that I saw there, the local news didn't give it much coverage, despite the numbers. Because these are idiots that essentially can't do extemporaneous speech. They showed a short clip of a woman. Women have no place in Islam. Reading a speech off of her phone. I mean, if you can't remember what you're going to say and stuff, or you cannot speak off the cuff extemporaneously, you're not very bright. Why are you even in college? Seriously, in college courses, sometimes you're demanded to speak in class extemporaneously as a response. And you're supposed to be able to be, cogent, coherent, and educated sometimes for professor will let you speak for 3, 4, 5 minutes. If he's, unhappy with you or if you try to challenge them or something. Anyway, and I'm in an area where there's a shit ton of Muslims. They're all over Austin too, and this is in an area where they really have to watch their behavior more, because here, that's one of the reasons that those kids protested down there, and it was on campus, is the university cops are not going to do anything against students holding what was a actual peaceful protest, and there wasn't any burning or looting or shit. And right behind them was people who were also demanding the release of the 264 hostages or something first. There's really not going to be any ceasefire or any of this stuff until the hostages come back and Hamas's infrastructure is completely destroyed. I mean, a lot of people are going to have to die. Then we got all this shit like the launching of rockets at U.S. military bases. We're intercepting them and then returning fire. We're at war, and we got right here in our own backyard. We got 1,000 students willing to risk or damage, and alienate. There's a pretty huge Jewish population at the University of Texas. We Jews tend to be in every university everywhere, not only just as professors, but as students. They said if you solely admitted students on merit, there would be nothing but Jews and Chinese in there. And that's true because of the drive and the intelligence of those particular ethnic groups. Not all people are the same. Don't give me that crap. I don't want to hear it. And please let me remind you that just in the last few months, I've had attempts on my life primarily because I'm white, straight, and Jewish. But the last one, they were Christian. We got some pretty nasty Christians here too. I'm actually getting to where I'm seeing the really bad side of, because they're not from here. I'm starting to see the bad side of Pflugerville a lot more and stuff. How they act like snotty. A lot of them act like snobby Californians. Actually, I had one guy was coming out of the 7-Eleven, had just gotten a cup of coffee, and his vehicle was honking. He had a malfunctioning, battery dead, key fob, and I saw the California plates. I said, "What part of California?" And he goes, "Well, I use it for work." And I go, "Well, what do you do for work?" I drive for Ubers. He said it's a rental, actually. I use it for work. Let me get this straight. You're somehow making a living. You can only really do it from here, because from Pflugerville to the airport, often if you're going by Uber, they're going to charge you around $200 during peak times to go from here to that airport, because it's the airport. And then those people have a tendency to tip $100 on top of it. It's not unheard of to hear a driver. That's the kind of rides he has to look out for all day in order to be able to make the rental payments on that car, which apparently he rented from Ubers or something. But, most of my Uber drivers don't speak English. I have to speak Spanish. I have to deal with this multiracial, and a lot of these people are really hostile. The Cubans, I've talked about this in videos before. The Cubans, the Romanians, there's a lot of, usually my Muslim drivers are extremely well behaved, because they're afraid you're going to, give them a bad rating. Trust me, I've had some of my worst service has been the Gypsy and the Cubans. They've been really problematic. They absolutely refuse to speak any English whatsoever, although they can all speak English. And it's just, I see it coming. Biden isn't doing shit. Biden isn't really supporting Israel. Biden should have bombed the crap out of any of the Muslim countries that launched rockets at our military facilities. For you idiots that don't understand, we have a right to have military installations around the world. There has been a global marketplace for 400 years, which we have climbed to the top rung of that ladder. We have a right to protect our commerce by being present there. If we need those materials, which we support the world with the highest technology, they steal from us. We've been major producers, and we're primarily tech producers now. We've become a service economy, but we still need our basic materials. And you have no right to interfere with the flow of those materials that we have contracted for, paid for, and that you then turn into fucking rockets and shit and shoot at us, or people don't understand that we have a right under just commerce, the rules of commerce, to have establishments all over this planet wherever we see the need to protect our commercial interests. It is not a single. I'm going to try to end it about here. The reason that the Soviet Union fell was because we, the free market, capitalistic societies, simply refused to trade with them. It's as simple as that. When you get cut out of the world economy, you're screwed. When the largest consumer country on this planet, one of the largest consumer countries, primarily, English speaking, Dutch speaking, French, German speaking, the largest consumer, countries on this planet will not buy your products and stuff where you only have to focus on basic things like oil and gas, like Russia has, then you're screwed. Actually, Russia was screwed the minute they revised their constitution again and went from 40 hours a week in the constitution, work week, to a 42-hour work week, which cuts into their black market time. They're pretty, pardonnez-moi, they're a hard-drinking, fairly, they can be hard-working if they're being rewarded. They're not going to work hard for the state. But in general, you're not paying them right. Russians can be kind of, here I go, I'm racist about white people. Lazy drunkards. That would be a correct, I've read somebody talking about, it's first thing in the morning and all the workers are sitting around drinking weak beer, giggly beer, and planning to just goof off all fucking day. It's those, but I knew that by it was 1980, 81. I think it was 81. When those like big cleaned up 1,100 foot long coal ships started showing up at the port of Galveston, Texas, to pick up American wheat. When they started, I knew that they were starving. That was 81. I think they revised the Constitution around 81 for up to changing the work week to a minimum of 42 hours. When a country has to go to their Cold War enemy to get bread to feed their people, they're done for. So I'll end with this. I have been planning to go to another city in another state, better winters, and a possibility of me getting my shoulder fixed faster than what's happening here. Once the medical establishment starts talking about you, they all turn on you. They really do. I have no idea where in Texas I could go to. This is another. And right now, I think the given state of so many people that are here that are really treasonous and treacherous to our interests and stuff. And I'm afraid to, and while constantly being, I've stopped wearing a kippah. I've stopped wearing a skull cap, a yarmulke, because I don't want to have people throwing down on me all the time. Yeah, I'm wearing a skull cap right now, but that's because it's almost winter. And Texas is I'm reluctant to leave because Texas is one of the only states, because Israel is a major trading partner. Texas has a ban against, if you do business with the state of Texas in any way, shape, or form, you cannot engage in the BDS, the boycott, disinvest, whatever, sanction is the final word, BDS. You can't do that here. You cannot promote in any government property, any government contractor. Oh, please, if major source of wealth in this state is working, getting contracts and stuff, you can't go around supporting or BDS, boycott, disinvest, or something like that, and sanction Israel. You can't do that here and stuff. It's, we're not going to offend the country that protects all of our digital money and does so much for us. It's, we ain't going to do it. So I've ranted on now for 17 minutes. I really do think that we are really on the brink. It's finally going to come down to Muslims versus everybody else. Especially all us white folks and white Jews. And you people who voted for Biden and Harris and Obama, not that there's really any difference under the military-industrial complex, but those of you who handed over to the best friends, Joe Biden is a brain-damaged flunky of the group of both left and right-wing rich people. Maybe I should go on this because I did a lot of commentary today on social media. We Jews catch a lot of flack because Meyer Amschel Rothschild, Baron Rothschild, supposed to be like the richest, they don't know how much. He didn't violate Hebrew law. You shall lend to other nations, but you shall not borrow. That was to prevent the type of slavery known as indentured servitude. We Jews, our laws are the foundation of almost all of Europe and especially America. American law is based on Torah, the law. That's what Torah means, is law. The first five, the Pentateuch, is really God's laws, or contains almost all of the 613. And but there was a situation that it was to his benefit to lend to another nation and use his investors' money and stuff, his own honestly earned money. And Rothschild invented the war bond. And when you combine that and with the Dutch scam of Wall Street, if you don't really stop the whole funding and allowing the average investor, I'm trying to present you here with a solution here at closing on 20 minutes. The only way to begin crippling, I'm going to turn myself into a target, aren't I, Mr. AI, Google? The only way to begin crippling the military-industrial complex, which funds both left and right politics and funds this division between people, is because they profit off of that dichotomy. They're neither left nor right. They're money. And as long as we have the Dutch scam going on, the stock market, which every stock there is overvalued by 5 to 50 freaking times. I mean, just look at Bumble. Bumble just crumbled. And until you do that and you stop this, open sale of of bonds, stuff like that, because that's really That's how we funded the war on COVID. Yeah, it was still a type of warfare on the command and control of the population. I don't care. I'm 20 minutes now. Look, I'm probably going to pick my nose too. I'm sorry, it's misting right now. They were out there yesterday in a light rain. They were calling out, oh, pouring rain on the news people. No, it wasn't. Just not sure really what to say. It's so hard to come up. There's really no way that we can stop these kind of people with they're now calling middle income or actually wealthy from becoming. See, what's the problem here is when you allow the average person to put their money into a fund that gathers together a bunch of people money and essentially funds, and they become, when you allow the average investor to become part of the military industrial complex and they can see the financial benefit that Boris good for their pocketbook. It was certainly good for Baron Rothschild, but he also was trying to prevent the destruction of his, what it, to him was his native country. You know, that was Austria. And it's so you cannot bring down the military industrial complex, and they're doing right now, they're already starting the scare tactics. Shortage of milk cartons, half pint milk cartons for school kids, worldwide shortage of rice, shortages of antibiotics and stuff like that. Do you think the military industrial complex is short of any of that shit? No. The only way to bring down the military industrial complex, unfortunately, is for us to have an economic crash. And all of us to kind of live like I do right now. Few material possessions, nothing more than I really need. In my backpack, all there is canned beef, string cheese, and some gummy worms. I tolerate them fairly well. Those are the least toxic things I can find around here, least toxic foods. They're inexpensive. America's not a racist country. Most of the food in Walmart, all the clothing, everything else comes from other countries. If you're really racist, you wouldn't buy anything at Walmart or Target. Or, any of the big store. I guess Costco's in the food business too. So please don't tell me that. It's really only been in America that, we've created a true racial and ethnic melting pot without a shit ton of violence. The Civil War was not, I will conclude with this. If you're so uneducated that you don't know that the Civil War was about cotton, you didn't even watch the PBS super liberal documentary that pointed out that it was not about slavery. It was about cotton, the price of cotton, and the North trying to force us to sell it to them when we were getting top dollar from England and France. The Industrial Revolution was almost exclusively the production of textiles, cotton, fabric, wool fabric, but primarily cotton fabric, and all the machinery involved in it and all the transportation mechanisms. That was the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. We might have fired the first shot, but that's because y'all are trying to force us to sell to you exclusively at a price dictated to you. That's why we don't particularly get along with the Yankees. And if you knew what happened after the Civil War, here and abouts, which I do, I've read all those old handwritten and hand-typed doctoral works on post-Civil War era in this area. The Yankees, as the felony indictments would grow against them, used to burn down our courthouses all the way from Fredericksburg to East Texas. We had to go to masonry and metal roofs to keep the Yankees, the carpetbaggers, from burning down our courthouses. We were under occupation. They took over our educational system. There's really no way out of the present mess we're in. I have a way. If I was in control, and do I want to be in control? No. Because I would still have that moment of hesitation. Is we need to just fucking nuke the countries that are problematic right off the bat. We need to give Israel clearance to go ahead and turn the Gaza into a glass strip and start laying down photovoltaics on it for their own power supply. We need to just get this shit over with right now because, Islam's stated goal is global domination and conversion or killing all of us. And there's a really good analysis out there. I thought it was by Janes, but we're already at the point where we're beginning to lose. We're past 2% Muslim population. That's when they move into the government. When they reach 20% of the population, whether they're black or white Muslims, that's when the ethnic cleansing begins in every country that they have infiltrated. We're at war, people. And I see a way out, but it means everybody's going to have hardships. Because that's what the hell happens in war. All those pro-Palestinian protesters yesterday completely omit the fact of all the innocent Israeli children that were murdered, bombed during the ambush. There was no declaration of war, or there was no warning. They killed Israeli children, old folks, and stuff like that. They were not targeting the military. They have not acted honorably. They deserve no respect in return. They're all acting like enemy combatants and support staff, even down to children. They're using their own people and forcing their own people to be human shields. They're trying to play on people's sympathies. And that don't cut it with me. Women and children have always been victims of war, but it's only been in the last few hundred years that there has developed a really global conglomerate of a variety of people who make money off of investing in the war machine, the military-industrial complex. Ike Eisenhower warned me about it when I was about 5 years old. And he was right. He said it would consume America. It has. And it doesn't care whether you're left or right, as long as they're, making bombs and cotton gauze bandages and stuff like that. They don't really care. I think if you're a real patriot right now, you take out every penny that you have, just take your money out of circulation, like in the Depression, crash the country. Take your money out of the stock market, buy something that's actually of use, that's everyday use, like copper. You can get bales of copper from Mexico shipped up here and put in your front yard, backyard, buy yourself property out in the country or something like that. Arm up. Buy useful materials that will maintain some value. Bales of copper sheets certainly will. That'll never go away. Silver is actually far more valuable than gold. I know my stuff. I know we're at war. It's going to get worse. The military-industrial complex really hasn't had a good rampage in a while. Good profitable rampage, and I'm stopping this at 30 minutes. We're at war.